In 1 Samuel 17, we can read about a story, an account that we've heard so many times, and that is the account of David and Goliath. Now, as we know, David was a shepherd boy. He tended to the sheeps, and his brothers were the ones that were equipped or prepared for this battle that he had to face with Goliath. In David coming to serve those who were in battle, he heard Goliath talking a little witty about God, and he wasn't standing for that. So he was like, okay, I'll go. I'll fight him. When telling Saul about this, Saul at first was a little reluctant to let him go and fight, knowing that he wasn't really prepared to go and fight this type of battle. But he ended up saying, okay, go ahead and fight it. The Lord will be with you. And then he put his own armor on to David. Now, because David was a shepherd boy and he ain't never gotten in the field before, he was definitely new to this. He was not true to this. When Saul put that armor on him and that weight of that armor came down on him and David tried to walk, he was like, hold on, I can't walk in this. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this type of weight. I'm not used to this type of baggage. So instead, he took something that could seem like nothing, that seemed useless to everybody else. First of all, he took the Lord. He knew that it was the Lord that was going to get him through this thing. But he took stones in a slingshot to a battle with a 9-foot giant. Sometimes we get so used to taking on the opinions, the outside voices, as to what we should do to go about a big issue, a big problem, something that's heavy, something that we feel like needs so many things to take care of. We say, oh, I can't get this job or get through this career without having this degree. Oh, I can't take on this task or do this thing because I'm not qualified. I don't have this qualification to do this. We think to ourselves and convince ourselves that we can't do this big thing because we don't have this big thing. But if you got God, who is the greatest of everything, you got everything you need. What things are you putting onto yourself that is causing a weight and a burden that God himself isn't putting on you? What things are you trying to carry? The opinions, the advice, the things that other people are saying around you. What things are you placing onto yourself that is causing you to feel so weighed down to where you can't do the thing that God called you to do, that you need to take off? What baggage have you become so accustomed to that may be slowing you down in doing the thing that God has set out for you to do? As my pastor just said in his Wisdom on Wednesday series, shout out to you. It's time for us to unpack them bags. We'd unpacked things and allowed things to attach themselves to us. We've been carrying this heavy load of something that God has not placed on us. And it's slowing us down from being on that journey that God has called us to be on. With God on your side and God being at the forefront of your life, not a sidekick, with God being at the forefront of your life, you have everything you need. Everything that you need in this life, in this walk, in the thing that God has called you to, in the things that God is calling you from, God has already placed it on the inside of you. You got everything you need. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. If he called you for a great work, that great God is going to be with you every step of the way. Who said that you need to do it in the way that somebody else did it? Who said that you need this thing and that thing to get to this place that God is calling you to? We don't move by the world standards. We don't limit God to our own world view. God is greater. He is much grander than anything that we can think of. He is much larger than even the greatest thoughts that we have in our own head, anything that we can conceptualize with our own understanding. Scripture says he can do exceedingly abundantly beyond all that we can ask, think, or imagine. So we have to get out of the box, and we have to stop putting God inside the box, because he's way greater than that, and he got way greater plans than whatever you think that you can do in your own will and power. You need to lean on him for his strength, his might, his will, and his power. David knew that it was by the power of God, by God's hand, by God's might, that he would be able to slay this giant, not by a spear or a sword or anything else, but by the power of God, who will deliver him from this thing, and that will allow him to prevail over this thing, just as God helps him to do as being a shepherd boy, fighting off bears and wolves to protect these sheep. Sometimes we think that the work that we're doing right now, that is seemingly so outside of what we're getting to, we think it's so irrelevant, and it's not. It's preparation. God is preparing us for that bigger, that greater, that larger thing. Even being a shepherd boy, God was showing David that he will always be with him. He will never leave or forsake him, that he will give him the strength and allow him to have everything that he needed to fight off these grander things. He was fighting off bears and wolves to protect the sheep, not even knowing that one day he will have to lean on God still for the power, for the strength to fight off a 9-foot giant. Okay, I don't know who needs to hear that, but I pray that you're hearing the Lord speak, not from the words coming from Chloe Grace, but that you're hearing the word of the Lord. Know that what you're doing is not in vain. Everything that you do for Christ will last. And the things that seem so irrelevant, it's preparation, okay? Don't let what people are saying, what your right now is looking like, or what you feel like is a deficit or a vacant, a dead space, keep you from obeying God, trusting in him, and leaning on him for your all, because he has already given you everything that you need. Romans 12:12 says to rejoice in hope, be patient in affliction, and to be persistent in prayer. Wait on the Lord and be of good cheer. He's working things out, even when you feel like he's not working because you can't see it. But this is not about what we can see with our physical eyes. This is a faith walk. He's making provisions for you right now, and he's preparing you in this season. Just get ready. Get ready for him to show up and show out in a great way. Be in expectation for this thing, okay? Be still and know that he is God. And don't get weary in well doing. Because if you don't faint, you're going to reap that harvest, okay?